point
my,
that...
my head in my head it's 2003. In my head, the era of straight comics is 2003, and it begins in January and ends in December. And I know that's not true, but it feels true.
Well, everyone, today we're learning about something called periodization, and it's just one of the more real fun ways to get your check if you're in the history circuit.
Or truthiness.
Or truthiness. Truthiness is another one, yeah.
That's a lesson in truthiness, yeah.
Though I suppose it can bring truthiness to history, and that's probably its own cottage industry.
Yeah, that's, there's a whole testament about that.
Man, look at all these POVs. It almost seems like people are improvising in this book.
Mm.
But, in terms of my review of the week, I did have a fucking surprise.
Oh?
Because I had heard the rumors about Arcane, all this business. And I'm gonna be real. I came in pretty skeptical.
I did too. I don't know why you didn't trust my enthusiasm for this thing. You know how much I fucking have no time for League. In this life or any other.
It kind of speaks to the impression that League of Legends leaves as a franchise. Because I got recommendations from this from two of the people I've known longest in my fucking life. You and Derek Tobe, I skate with him, I watch junk with him. I think he actually punted Gurren Lagann to me, if you want a reference point for this.
Oh my gosh.
And you both came in by my blonde stands, you know? You both came in and said, this show is worth watching. I'm not even sure I would have watched it if a different two people punted it.
Is he still blonder than me?
I don't know, it's pretty neck and neck. Your hair kind of arcs in and out. It's very interesting. I don't know what allele leads to that.
I don't either. I know that, I know that the hair day I use sometimes makes it red, but, when it is at its most natural.
I sort of take it as a number of weeks left in winter kind of thing.
It's, I have my months when I'm feeling more Shanks, and I have my months when I'm feeling more Doflamingo. It really just comes down to that.
And I'm going to make an endorsement of a second product, which loops back to an endorsement of Arcane. Because at first, I was playing Blasphemous 2 basically the whole time I was watching the first 3 fucking episodes. Because in my head, I'm like, okay, let's waste my goddamn time. And the thing about Blasphemous 2 is that it's very much in that Nintendo hard Soulsborne Metroidvania fucking tradition. And it turns out when the plot heats up, you can't really do that shit at the same time.
No, you gotta be paying fucking attention.
By the time... Is good plotting a twist? It's not a defiance of what's happened before, recontextualization. It's just not stock plotting. But by the time the first decent plot turn comes in, I am eating some rank shit in Blasphemous. I am getting my face rolled.
You're not paying enough attention.
Yeah.
I've been saying it again and again about Arcane, which is that it is such a fucking story nerds show. It is, for media studies people like us, for humanities people, for, film majors, animation majors, for especially, for me, lit major, also just into screenwriting and shit. This thing fucking killed because of just the craft, I guess. And it's funny because it's this tragedy, right? I have anecdote after anecdote of people ugly crying to this scene or that scene or another scene. And as well, they have, the right to ugly cry. But I, being, just the media nerd that I am, am sitting there just autistically obsessed with the craft on display in terms of, oh my god, this is a fucking Gendy Tarkovsky level montage. They
I know what you mean with that, because when I watch this, it's like you've got this ring, right? And there's the way that the two people that are banging are getting married look at this ring, and then I'm here just in the jeweler's shop or the pawn shop, just going, "Oh yeah, we got some angles in here."
That's one fuck of a ring. Yeah, just oh man, 18 karat. Look at the craft on display here with the you don't see any hard edges on this at all. It just kind of into the
I think there might be a little bit of muddiness here across these two episodes, people, because originally, or I guess it still is, but the idea is we're doing season 1 and season 2 separately because I didn't anticipate getting going on a coke binge of the show. I'm now currently 4 episodes into season 2, so I'm sure the streams are gonna get wacky. Whatever, call it a double episode if you want.
Might get a little bit crass.
In terms of this sort of jeweler's eye thing, I think a fun example. I will not name the character or the role. They're not significant to what I'm thinking of anyway. But there was a scene in which someone is just sort of bemoaning their departure from this mortal coil, as, getting stabbed is not really fun within your immediate circle.
No.
And I just realized, looking at this person's funeral, who you don't care so much about them, but just realizing that they could have easily, in a sloppier show, had a rando bite it or have a rando mourning it, and I just realized that it is very economical with its people and what they do in their interactions. Like, there's the standout in my head, minor non-serious spoiler here, is Shitty Cop Man.
Oh, I remember.
Could have easily been 6 incidental characters.
Yes, yeah, no, it's fun. This series has this pretty large cast, but it's smaller than you think it would be, or it's smaller than you imagine, because they use all of their incidental characters, or all of their like the character who exists because there was a need that needed serving, right? And so here's this character that they came up with to serve this need, and also why don't we make him a character too while we're at it?
Yeah, and it seems very attached to that old incidental Pixar law. I imagine there is a sloppier version of this script somewhere.
I bet. Yeah, I bet there's first draft or 2 where... But yeah, no, I'm struggling to come up with any character in either the first or second seasons of this really quite wonderful show. Sam has 2 thumbs up for this one, if it was not already apparent. I'm struggling to come up with a single character in this show who did not need to exist, or any 2 characters in this show who I wish had been just one character, or who could have been one character, and that would have made everything feel a little bit, more efficient or easy to follow or what have you. And I just don't. I think that they did that. I think that just earlier drafts of this series and the script and just test, just when they were in pre-production, I'm pretty sure that all of the characters who could have been either dropped or melded into an existing character, I think they did all of that, and I think they did all of that kind of to perfection.
It's very light on its feet in terms of the index card character arc kind of stuff. I think one of the better demonstrations of it is there's this, I should call him Oppenheimer-ish, but it seems they were very cognizant of that kind of comparison, because essentially, without going all the way into the depths of Spoilerland, we'll try not to do that for the first 20 minutes, half hour, or whatever. There's just someone who is working on this technology. You're sort of imagining the Dr. Frankenstein cackling in the rain kind of thing with where it's headed. Not literally that, but just, again, the Oppenheimer-ish thing. Mm-hmm. And the nice little tragedy I think they bake into this character, from my perspective, is that he is always... They sort of juke you. He's sort of always a step more rational or cautious than you would expect from this archetype.
Okay, so I do understand.
This is a season one thing. I understand he's spiraling right now.
Well, no, I understand the spoiler thing. I know you're talking about one of two characters right now. I
Oh yeah. I'm talking about Jace,
Jace.
Mister.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Speaking of which, this is where I get into my second point of appreciation of this show. In terms of these familiar names of characters you might be more familiar with in, let's say, shittier form. All right, I'm gonna be straight with you.
Mm-hmm.
I saw when this show started because I tried this fucking game in college.
Yeah.
I saw Jinx and I was ready to put a gun in my fucking mouth as I was just getting ready for 2 seasons of fucking Deadpool action.
No, just very sad unmedicated disorders.
Yeah, it's like that one good Deadpool run, basically. So.
It's just not well. She's just not a person who is well, and really needs to make the choice to check into inpatient. Like, she can't have someone make the choice for her. She needs to do it herself. But man,
she needs to do it herself. There's a lot of
man,
work
she
to
needs
do.
to be there.
Man, Big Pharma is talking a lot of big game about this new Esua stuff, but not sure it's up to the task. Not sure it's ready. Not sure it's ready for the. It's like they put this character in front of a serious adult and said, "What needs to happen to this person for you to take this behavior seriously?" Like it's like an evil Knievel stunt, basically.
Yes. Yeah, no, so I had similar feelings about so we should talk about Jinx because she is in effect the main protagonist, although this is a very much ensemble series that doesn't really have a main protagonist, but it's kind of like Bakano, where you got Firo and he might as well be the protagonist.
Yeah, it's like Firo, or that sort of second quarter Game of Thrones thing of Tyrion.
Yeah, or the eventual thing with Jon Snow towards the end. Which,
yeah. So if you call it the anchor,
fault.
the sort of anchoring. I know. It was ironically its problem is probably that sort of juked away from that too.
Yeah,
but so I guess trying to play keep away with expectations doesn't always pan out. They do a good.
No, it's a stupid fucking idea. It's one of my arguments against fandom. Watch out for Haterade Volume 2 coming by the end of year. I hope.
It's gonna be good business, people. It's gonna be good business. Okay, so talking about Jinx. So in Jinx's original iteration, did I even define what the show is? Should I do that first?
Yeah, probably a good idea. I mean,
all right. So this is a fantasy animation series, Netflix exclusive, which is normally one of the 7 kisses of death. But I guess there's enough money floating around in just ether that something happened here.
They're broken clock,
Broken clock. Yeah, consider this an American Vandal.
Yes. Yeah. It's an American Vandal or I guess Ozark was really good.
People seem to swear by it. Breaking Bad core over there, I guess. But yeah, this is not a Breaking Bad core thing. If I were to compare it to anything, it's if you put Game of Thrones in like a good YA book in a blender. I said a good one. It's just a thing now. We have to live in the future. No, we don't have to live in the future, but
No. I'm not. The exhalation was not an expression of protest or contrarianism or anything. Is just a. I'm trying to think about my version of this metaphor.
But yeah, it's essentially there is this whole class divide in these 2 cities that is breaking down into warfare, but it's all framed around this one family, particularly this one sisterhood. And then it sort of fractalizes out from there. And then where it gets weird and they salvage it is that every character is kind of sort of technically from League of Legends, which, if you are really into video games, I do not recommend. And if you are not into video games, I also do not recommend.
The take I heard that is kind of perfect, just about Arcane versus League of Legends, is that getting back into League, or getting into League in the first place because Arcane was so good, is like getting into meth because Breaking Bad was so good.
Oh man, my analogy was going to be it's like joining the army because you liked fucking Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah. Also good. Also a really good take. Okay, you know what it is? You know what it feels like to me? You know what it feels like to me? Arcane can be sort of described as, what if Metropolis was also an adaptation of Shakespeare? Just kind of all of them, really. Just the whole folio. And it was a video game cutscene, but like a really fucking good video game cutscene.
Oh man, somewhere in those 14 Xenogears games, there has to be one of those like that, right?
Do you want to fucking find it?
I don't know if I have the time to find it in 2024, man.
I don't have the time. You fucking kidding me? No,
That's some deep tissues. I might get halfway through one by the time.
I can barely find the time to keep up with more than one manga.
Oh man, I've got a pipeline of that stuff feeding directly into my brain. So yeah, basic concepts. The whole place is called Piltover, and beneath it, there is the Undercity where a lot of the literal and figurative refuse builds up.
That's Zon.
Or Zon, yeah, the nation of Zon. And you'll find echoes of a lot of just historical shit coming through here in a way
Echo.
In a way that feels very strange for something pulled from League of Legends.
It's
like the Iliad of fucking Smurfs, man. I don't know. It's really a weird show.
How do you do this? You know Lord and Miller? It's like, but they only ever do funny stuff. They only ever do comedies. I swear to God, it's like they found whoever the showrunner for this was, and I am embarrassingly just not up on all of the behind the camera names for this series. Whoever the showrunner is, it could be described really with just these 2 seasons of television as the dramatic equivalent of Lord and Miller.
That is true. That's true. And if you are unfamiliar with Lord and Miller's hat tricks, they made the Lego movie out of those little blocks that you stuck together whenever your parents weren't paying attention to you.
They were Clone High. That was them. 21 Jump Street was them.
They
just
made
all of these things that had no business being really fucking funny.
So
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. That was them.
I guess we just live in the era of kick-flipping El Toro being the equivalent of landing some of these projects. And good on the people that do them. You know, it's nice. I like watching things work out. Again, my pain watch instinct is still well ahead of the general population, but much diminished from when I was a youth. It was a pleasure to find this working. Okay, so now that we've sort of set the basic stage there, I guess we can talk a bit about what you wanted to say about Jinx.
What do I want to say about Jinx? Yeah, Jinx as just... I had similar feelings. Similar feelings about Jinx going in here as you did, which is, oh man, I smell fucking Merc with a mouth on this chick.
Yep.
I smell Wade Wills. I don't fucking like that smell.
It's like, there's some contemporary era ass Harley Quinn emanating from this.
Like, ooh, are you gonna quip?
And then the quip comes in, and the first quip is, "I want to kill myself." And so we're going places this one. So
we are more sad than clown.
You know, you could even make an argument it's not even too distant from the archetype. There are just levels of execution and understanding. Because if I were to be intellectually honest, which I try to be about 5% of the time, so I guess it's a full moon tonight.
Oh, 5%
Yeah, 5%. I'm rocketing up, dude. So, if you dig through the fucking back catalog and jump over your various Daniel waves and stuff, every now and again, Fabian this year will come with a bat and say, "This is a sad, sad man."
Oh, he's a comedian.
Yeah. And at his best, I guess that was the original appeal. Sometimes they get back to that, sometimes they fucking don't, but this is a show that is sort of riding that wavelength with Jinx here. I think it helps that for all I freestyle in my own work, this is a very diagrammed out show, and they invest energy into making sure you see the development from, a child that had a chance to someone that thinks and acts this way in this place.
Because I'm me, I have this desire to look at the either it was a bulletin board or it was like a relational database or a chart or something like that. I want to see what the outline of this looked like, because it was so very clear. I don't know if they did it for the entire, 2 seasons, or they did it 1 season at a time, but I would really, really love to see what the big script outline or plot outline looked like, because I am quite certain that they had it all figured out. They had all of that figured out before anyone even wrote a single line of dialogue. And that is a level of planning that I respect oh so goddamn much. It's not the only correct way of doing things. It's not even the only correct way of doing a show like this, but it is a you're going to hear the words level of craft a whole lot in this episode, and probably the next one too. It's a level of craft that I respect on such a deep level.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not the only way of doing things. I think it's a decent approach for this kind of, I don't know, spectacle, tentpole. Those aren't quite one-to-one, medium to medium things, but it's definitely, like, this is like a good pop thing, right? Like, this is sort of a Lady Gaga kind of show. And it's not that these elements are all necessarily, like, unfamiliar or world-shattering, but it's just very strong pop storytelling with characters from League of fucking Legends. I'm losing my fucking mind. I clearly don't understand. I made this point before. I think I made this joke before, but I really need to make it clear that there was like a reverse MCU effect, like reverse early MCU. Because if you were a comic book fan, there was that sort of little joy of like, whoa, oh fuck, is that Nick Fury? And here you're like, fuck, it's Heimerdinger.
It's this fucking Yorkie-looking motherfucker. God damn it. And then, oh wait, the Yorkie-looking motherfucker is... Oh, well, no. There, he's not actually...
I need you to
as automatically right about everything just because he's old. No, that's why he's actually wrong about things. Oh, wow. Shit. He's going down to the place that he had written off and just looking at how wrong he is. Holy fuck.
I'm Scrappy Doo and I'm learning about nuclear proliferation.
Why is this compelling? Why is it so compelling to see this fucking anthropomorphic Yorkie look at what he has failed to do in his life? It
goes places that I was not calling. I think there were, if I look at my own notes, I just wrote right in his first appearance, just Heimerdinger is nails on chalkboarding me. And they sort of managed to win me over from that point.
Yeah, you can zoom in on any major character or even most of the minor characters' arcs. Like, yeah, like him, like Heimerdinger and his whole thing where he talks about how you can't possibly see how the consequences of your actions echo, throughout time because you don't live that long. And, the very good argument presented against this, I think by Jace, is you live so goddamn long that you don't see how your long game ass thinking doesn't fucking matter to people who live and die, in the span of, what ends up being what the equivalent of a decade to you.
Yeah, they capture essentially that deep tissue elf argument that you only really encounter if you're like a level fucking 4 nerd, and they bring it to this fun pop space, and it's a execution through Scrappy Doo, which is again an Evil Knievel stunt.
It's they keep doing all these fucking impossible goddamn things in this show, and I again and again and again. And there's this thing, and I'm moving on to plotting right now. There's this thing where so much of what happens, it does not feel surprising at all. It doesn't feel like a twist. It doesn't feel like, I mean, there are a couple like, oh shit kind of moments where, you see, like what's about to happen, and it is kind of surprising, but there are just as many moments where you are watching a thing play out and you already know how it's going to end, and how it's going to end is terribly. It's going to end so badly, and you're just seeing it happen in real time.
There are some good plotting scenarios that are just, again, you're just sort of watching the fuse box.
No. You're watching the bomb underneath the table. You're watching Hitchcock's bomb underneath the table, and you've already been told the bomb is going to go off.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's... Oh, it's like, what do you even call that? The bomb goes off and you weren't told about it. You've created 10 seconds of surprise. The bomb's under the table ticking. You've created 10 minutes of suspense.
He was justifying that as a suspense.
But like, what happens? What do you even call it if the bomb goes off? No, if the bomb's underneath the table ticking for 10 minutes and then it goes off, you're not surprised. I don't know. Maybe that's just tragedy.
I think in support groups they call it two addicts dating. I would compare dramatically the way a few of these scenarios pan out to, just someone they've finally gone through the lap of recovery. They're in a room. There's a card on the table. It says, "Don't touch the crack." There's a bunch of crack on the table. And they're just sitting in this chair for 10 minutes, drumming their fingers along said crack table. I think
in my head it's not necessarily that you're watching the ticking the entire time, but you're told about the ticking, about halfway through dinner, halfway through this scene at the restaurant. You're introduced to the bomb, and then they cut away from the bomb, but then they keep cutting back to the bomb as this conversation goes on, and then there's this really artfully done, dialogueless montage about the bomb exploding.
So we talk about these dialogueless montages. I can actually point towards the one main flaw of this program. It's not huge, and it's kind of hilarious.
Is it Imagine Dragons?
Not even that. I can kind of get it. No. Someone in production in this show has the shittiest taste in rap I've heard in some time.
Oh, you were not into the OST.
It is. They are lobbing some fucking bombs here. And the style on these music video segments, great plot points, nice little choreo things, and every now and again someone is just vomiting into the microphone, and I'm just listening like, what, was Ice Spice busy?
Was this more of a season 1 complaint, or what you've seen of season 2 so far?
So I guess this is more of a season 1 complaint I am thinking of.
Okay.
I was not consistently impressed by the hip-hop half of the soundtrack.
All right, that's fair. You're gonna run into some Ash Nico in season 2 if you have not already. So it's not as though they completely excise that problem. Just fair warning. Sorry in advance. I did.
Well,
I did.
You know
like
what? I
on the
have.
whole.
You know what's great? I have the appendix, you can lose it, and when mine just gets inflamed halfway through that, I'll be cool.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you what? Like you out of pocket, or do you have like decent insurance through?
I've got a rusty spoon; it'll work itself out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in case you're wondering what we thought about that shit, so it's our favorite brothers, Mario, and the other guy. So where was I going with this? But yeah, that's a quibble. One thing I would say also is just by default, not all music sections are for everyone. It's why music over D&D is often such a controversial thing, because someone is not being served by nature. So it's kind of a relative thing anyway.
Oh, you know what the solution to that is, though. Don't DJ it. Literally, just queue up an entire playlist of hour-and-a-half long ambient music that's somewhat kind of the vibe that you're going for, and there, done, solved. It's okay. You don't have to put a set piece over. So it's never going to go that way. It's never, ever, ever going to go the way that you think it's going to go, because that song is 3.5 minutes long, and that combat is going to be 3.5 hours long. You know it. I know it. Don't.
You gotta cave to that reality, people. That's our Lego pro tip for the day. Lego tip?
Lego tip. Oh, fuck yeah. I'm so about that, yeah.
All right, we'll add that to the brand. We'll add that to the brand. Something I want to get at, and we're about half an hour in, so I think it's okay if this tidbit here is a little spoilery. I think by now I advocate the show, and I have to talk about the fucking show to talk about the show, right?
Unmarked spoilers throughout. Let's just...
Okay.
The thing's been released in full for at least a month now. Both seasons. We're fine.
If you're into Vinland Saga, one thing I have to give this through the first season is that we get an entire Askeladd progression.
In whose character?
Oh, our local industrialist / crime boss.
Right, yes, Silco. Oh,
yeah. Silco gets pretty much an entire Askeladd story arc. They might have even been just mainlining Vinland Saga when they were writing around this guy from the national... Dude is not from the games, by the way. He's given attention that you would not really expect them to give a character not from the games. I think they're very smart about that. It gives them a few people who are allowed to live and die without destroying the branding diagram or something.
Mm-hmm.
And really beginning to end, the entire Silco thing is fun enough and well realized that I'm almost a little sad that Subhack at Riot Games is going to put some zombie version of him at some point into this fucking thing.
I think he has since been written into a couple characters' backstories. That is the appearance, or that is the Harley Quinn migration that he has made into the games themselves.
I will live with that exchange, with that reality, with this universe.
That's okay. I'm okay with that one, and it's I'm all right with that.
There's a lot of Askeladd in terms of the way that his relationship with Jinx plays out. You'll see what I'm saying if you have both read Vinland Saga and watch this. Something that is pitched as something that could be a lot more dull and straightforward in terms of, you killed my father. Instead, it's this twisted kind of attachment that does form, that also does have these aspects of what we recognize as love, just through the worst fucking people possible.
It's just so fucking unhealthy. It's just no one here is well.
Yeah.
And no one here is conducting it in a healthy way, and you're just pulling your goddamn hair out watching it unfold.
And at the same time that he's doing this, he's in the middle of this entire Scarface progression, and as far as doing the entire Askeladd arc, I'm kind of down with this as a trend. Like, I say, let's just do a full Askeladd and everything. New Singing in the Rain, stick Askeladd in there. I'm ready. Let's make it the new hero's journey.
I think the thing that gets me about Silco, and this kind of gets into the second season, is there's this whole overarching theme in this, which is, just sort of the best intentions, or the best of intentions corrupted by sort of just the realities of the world and, what you face, and, how a mission, how like the mission that you were on ends up getting compromised and compromised and compromised and compromised until, whatever good you were trying to create on this mission is completely supplanted by the means, right? Or
Right.
okay, here we go. The good end that you were looking for is so amazingly corrupted, just irretrievably so, by the means that you ended up sometimes accidentally employing to get to that end. And that is part of the tragedy of Silco's character right there. The other part being, his whole thing about loyalty and
Oh yeah, he's got that
You're-
D12 song in loop.
and like his whole thing about loyalty and this whole thing where, you're expecting him to be this bastard. You're expecting him to be this bastard who ultimately does not put his money where his mouth is about that, and then he fucking does, and it kills him. Like, it not like, oh, it killed me to do it. No, like it literally he dies. He dies.
It's cool that the
putting
show
his money where his mouth is.
kind of plays both ends of this means versus ideal thing, because he essentially does go through, the ratios are different, but he basically does have Vander's fate, where he is attached enough to individual people, individual aspects of honor or behavior or whatever, that he dies when he could have served, the Victor Von Doom path all the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of cool.
He's too human for that, yeah.
It's kind of cool to see not only that play out twice across enemies, but B, even at different ratios.
Yes, it is. Vander, I can't talk too much about.
Well, Vander, spoiler alert, I don't know if he lives long enough to get too deep.
Well, I can't talk too much about that either.
Hot damn, okay, so...
You've still got shit to watch.
Alright, I'm intrigued. One thing I kind of want to talk about, and tell me this is too much of a pivot, but it was just in my head, and it's also something I kind of want to check off because we have hit... This seems to be a problem in a good action show, so I'm happy that this has happened twice. But much like Kagurabachi, I've forgotten to note that the punching is working in this.
Oh, yeah. The action choreography in this is, like, fucking stellar.
Which is probably important for something that's sort of being pitched and marketed and what have you as a fighty time, fun to pull a Deadpool quote out from his...
Can I talk about my favorite bit of action choreography?
Is it the Nook?
The Nook?
When V is fighting Silco's Heavy, their fight gets crammed. Their sort of clinch gets crammed in a nook where neither of them can really move too much, and that's way better
that
for
was
V. And
fantastic fucking scene. That was a fantastic fucking scene. And if that is your favorite scene, then like, yeah. I 100% like would give you an A+ on that position paper.
Yeah, that's the peak of the whole action set piecery of this. There's so much. It accomplished without A to just being a fun fight scene. It really effectively underlines the pluck of our deuteragonist here, the other sister. She learns things about the world in the most unfortunate Jackie Chan in real time kind of way. Like, imagine not getting the memo that you are in a steampunk setting and finding out when someone cracks out a chainsaw for the first time in your life.
Need big fist.
Yeah. And when I'm talking about the Nook, which I guess I should pass on, the only way that she survives this fight is that she moves it into a space where she can still stick and move, and this person is, again, swinging around a gas-powered sledgehammer.
Yes.
And it's a cool time.
It is interesting to me how little power scaling really seems to come into effect in this series. It's really mostly about circumstance.
Well, it's partially because it's an adaptation of a game where nothing fucking matters. But yeah, there's essentially a lot of circumstance there. Pretty much, it has kind of a classic Western thing going on where there's pretty much just circumstance, grit, and luck are the only three things that are really coming through for people here.
Yeah, it's like it's well understood that everyone can take care of themselves in a fight, but like, how's their day been?
Yeah.
What's the geography look like? How's the other guy's day been? And what little element that got introduced an episode or two ago is gonna come back to either bite you in the ass or save your ass?
Where are they in their trauma circle at the moment? How medicated are they? Is there any medication that exists that could even take care of what they're going through?
And I want to point to my favorite action sequence in both seasons. Honest to God, I think both seasons. I think it is so perfect a sequence. You could look it up on YouTube. It's like, because it's short. It's short enough that it doesn't get copyright claimed. It is that one montage where Echo runs into Jinx and he's like, "Nope, gotta stop you," and the entire thing is without dialogue, and it plays out as two scenes at once.
Mm-hmm.
One, a game that they played when they were kids, and then two, that same thing playing out this time. And you didn't know any of this shit. There was no exposition about any of it.
Oh, there's such a clumsier version of that sequence that they could have done, and it's delivered really well there.
It is delivered so fucking perfectly that you understand what he's doing, why, what it means, why it's working, why he is successful in what he does, which is, distract her with her own goddamn nostalgia for, this game that they used to play in order to come on top in this fight. But then he is so distracted by an element to his character that is better explored in, or more fully explored in the second season. I won't say too much about it, other than, he doesn't want to strike the killing blow against Jinx. He doesn't want to do it. Why not? We'll see. You'll find out. But he doesn't want to do it, which allows her to ultimately turn everything around and almost kill the poor bastard.
And herself. She'd be really into that.
And herself too. Yeah. She's it wouldn't be the worst outcome in the world for her. Jinx needs help.
She would call that a result at par.
But yeah, that everything I talked about there, I think maybe there's a line or two of dialogue at the end. Maybe I don't even remember. It wouldn't there wouldn't even, if there is, it doesn't really matter at all. It's just all of that plays out at the same time, just kind of with one scene superimposed against another.
Would you mind if I talk about...
Beautifully animated.
Would you mind if I praise the least important part of that whole thing you just described? But it matters to me. I've watched... I think around the first Trump disaster, I watched so much bad wrestling, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen so many disappointments. And just getting the right booking in the fucking match.
Yes.
Feels real good. Feels real good when you've got that monkey on your back, Sam. Like, they make the right call for the division. It's not just a showrunner saying, gotta book Jinx strong.
Nope. I would say that Jinx loses as many bouts as she wins in that first season. If I had to remember, I think they all do. I think everyone gets their ass kicked at least once, like real badly, and everyone kicks someone else's ass at least once, real hard.
We have a division.
Like, everyone's batting 500 by the end. No one gets to 100 wins this season.
I think my favorite example of someone eating it tripping into season 2 a little bit here,
Yeah.
but Jace just scrambling as one does during the whole terrorist
God, what a
exec.
fucking life. You ever have one of these fucking lives? You ever have one of those lives? Jace has.
He and Victor are just in this whole progression. We can talk about this plotline now. It's like the third plotline of the whole show anyway. There are two guys. They are super excited because they are convinced they've just invented penicillin.
Or like nuclear fusion.
Or like nuclear fusion. And, you know, they don't read fantasy stuff in this fantasy world. You and I go say, you've got an A-bomb right there.
That's they're not gonna use that for the betterment of mankind there.
Sometimes, I think the only place where I should say it's percolated poorly because you have to tell your fucking story and we don't have time to recreate an entire Christopher Nolan film here, right?
No.
But because there's just one scene where he's operating the Doom Claw and said, we could use this for mining. And I'm looking at this thing. It looks like a scorpion's tail. Are you on coke? And then I thought, well, you successfully invented something which amounts to the 1700s, so maybe you are on coke, actually.
There's something this show does that I think is a wonderful little, what would you call it, litany against or antidote to. Yeah, like this great antidote to these all or nothing readings of characters and their actions within their stories. Because, okay, so Sam problem with fandom, right, is how more.
Wait, you have problems with fandom?
Gets. No. It's one of.
Oh yeah, we just want to make sure you all know that fandom is our holy baby. We cradle it to our.
Denard, where would we be? Where would we be with that? No. It like. You know, like all those times when fandoms have told people not to kill themselves. All those times when they've like gotten them, when they've talked people down from the literal ledge.
That's true, and they've really enhanced a lot of people's critical thinking skills. And the really nice thing is that there's no, crossover to how they engage with other things in their lives or the world.
So, God, fucking, Arcane really does feel like a great. Or at least, I don't know, in my idealistic head it does, like a great antidote to the sort of moral absolutist reading of one character versus another that I see in other fandoms. Like I just watched Has Been Hotel a little while ago, and I'm familiar with the reputation that fandom has. They have this tendency to take a character and either hold them up as the most blameless, guiltless individual who's ever walked this earth, or one of the most loathsome creatures on this planet. And if you even if you spent 1 second enjoying anything about their presence, their presence in the story, then fuck you. And there is no in between. There's no in between.
Wow, they are trying to turn this into the Old fucking Testament, huh?
They're trying hard. So yeah, none of this series has this great thing that it does where everyone is just a little bit wrong. And everyone is just so. They all have such great intentions. Everyone does really have such good intentions, and even the people who have bad intentions have good intentions behind those bad intentions. And really, it's just
the way I would put it is that they make sure everyone has a pitch.
Yeah,
everyone has a pitch. They always kind of answer why, and even the most. Okay, so again, I'm 3 episodes into season 2. The most Dr. Frankenstein character they have on the entire fucking cast is that Sinjin guy, right?
Singed, yeah.
And even he's kind of like, I think I might be curing cancer. Give me a week, please. Hold on. I've almost got this.
I think maybe maybe my daughter doesn't have to be dead.
If I were to choose, if I were to check things off on the box.
And the yeah, so it does this great thing where you actually end up coming off as kind of dumb if you just out and out despise any one character.
Yeah.
I don't think.
And even people who are placed in what are sort of straightforwardly antagonistic roles, again, they give you the pitch, the reason why, even if it's just a very simple, understandable human drive. Like Madara's Bob is just someone whose back is against the wall in every way she can think of.
Madara?
Isn't that council lady? Mel.
Yeah. Oh, no, Mel's like I wanted to say she was one of the most sympathetic characters in the entire thing.
Her mom is in the pressure cooker.
Midasa. No. Oh, fuck me. I feel
It's a big enough cast. Yeah. So
I feel like an asshole not having like encoded her name. She's a big enough character in the season 2 that I
well, all that's important to her is that she is always in that sort of crime lord vice, which, you know, given what happened to the last person who was living into that pressure cooker, I'm not sure she's long for this world.
It's heavy weighs the crown, and that's they even say that.
They do say that often, and you still see people eyeing the crown like, but what if I...
What if crown?
I've got some good-ass intentions, though. I got some real...
Like, man, good-ass intentions. I glimpsed this really, really kick-ass world. Ambessa. Ambessa's the name. Ambessa.
Maybe I could pave a pretty good road with these intentions. I could pave a
I bet
really
I could, too.
Pimp-ass road.
I just knew her as Mel's mom for pretty much the entire show.
Great.
And yeah. No, Ambessa is the character. And
honestly,
yeah, what if it were me? What if I did it? What if where others have failed, I succeeded? And I feel like I could. You know why? Because I've got something they didn't, and that's going to be what makes the difference this time.
Yep. I guess moving away from characters and more with the forces for a second, I think there's a far more pat version of the show that exists somewhere. That's kind of worried it was sort of headed, but in this Tale of Two Cities kind of thing, they do a good job of showing the incentives for people to keep behaving the way they do in this and why it doesn't always go to fucking Kumbaya Town.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like the problems are systemic instead of individual.
Yeah, and, you know, you come and think, man, if only good people like our heroes were in charge, then everyone gets a speed promotion, and it keeps going down.
All right, here they are in charge. Let's watch. Let's see them fix this. It's like, who wins, individuals or systems? Ooh.
And again, it's showing why people do things. You know, you have this girl so determined to be the good cop from Training Day, and she's slowly putting on Sam Jackson's hat.
It's just, but you understand why she's putting on Sam Jackson's hat.
Yeah, and
I don't know, maybe you don't, because you're talking about Caitlyn, right? You're talking about Caitlyn, and there was a version of me who, like, a couple of years ago would not have any fucking patience for her arc in season 2. At all. Would have absolutely no patience. And, you know, I have experienced no small quantity of grief this past year. So I was right there, just ready for her arc, ready to be like, fuck, I get it. Grief like that, yeah, that could turn me into a fucking cop, maybe.
That's the thing. It does, not to go too Team America with it. It does a good job of showing the particular ways that getting 9/11 drives people insane.
Because it does. Yeah. Because it fucking does. Shit like that will drive you fucking nutso. You'll in one direction or another. Honest to fucking
And
God.
I don't wish understanding why, in terms of motives for taking certain actions for certain things, spiraling towards fast, just the words "dead mom, dead mom, dead mom" looping in
Dead mom, dead mom,
looping in your head is a pretty decent turn, but it works well there. I guess it's just called the political version of it. You're talking a bit about the way that vengeance does and doesn't work as a long-term plot element in Kagurabachi. I guess what I enjoy about what they're trying to do with the Caitlyn thing I've seen so far is her gritting her teeth, just trying to whisper the words "vengeance bad, need vengeance."
Yeah, no, she like really, really fucking tries. She tries so goddamn hard. Oh man, we're really bleeding into what should probably be in the second episode, but I fucking loved her arc in the second season.
I think the last 6 episodes of the next one are probably going to be juicy enough that could ramble again anyway. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
They're pretty juicy. Oh man, you're gonna fucking love with the last couple of episodes, like what all this builds up towards, because it's so fucking, it's almost like it's obvious, like this is where it was headed the entire time.
In terms of finales where things build, though, I will return to one of my arguments from our discussion of movies here, and it has come up on the podcast. What I was resurrecting about finales from our movie discussions, and there are a million great film finales, of course. But yes, we're talking in this we're in this fantasy action space, and the choice in the first season to end in a Skyfall cabin instead of running across a field at each other. Thank you for our daily bread. That is my Christmas miracle.
Sometimes the best endings are the smallest ones. Yes,
like we get a way better comparison actually is just Harvey Dent's Dangerous Game.
Yes, yeah, just, and what was it, like a parking garage? Yeah.
We end up in that kind of territory.
The scene has actually sort of become pretty famous since, just as like just one of the better scenes in, the animated canon. Just you say the words Jinx's Tea Party, everyone knows what the fuck you're talking about. Everyone remembers this scene. It's that's not. There's a reason for that. That's no fucking accident.
It's no accident. It is not a slouch. I very much appreciated how that business shook out.
The season ends on the most just chef's kissingly tragic note that it possibly could, which is, all of the dramatic irony in place, right? Exactly what the council has just voted for, which is, everything that Silco wanted to happen, yeah. Right? They are voting for that to happen, and what is about to happen to them? Jinx, who is like at the end of her fucking rope and not in her right mind, and has just undergone the season that she's undergone, and you just know just how little good will come of all of this, and how it's all just going to go so terrible. It's
something I like.
It's such a great little microcosm of how great a tragedy this show is, just how much of a perfect tragedy this show is.
Something kind of reminds me of something I like to talk about with people sometimes is I'm a Dan Carlin, general history nerd, I guess. I've been on that shit forever. Mm-hmm. Sam is actually more equipped than me on that front, but I really like to talk a big game. So
you understand the Civil War better than I do.
That's one. And one eternal back and forth is how important are individual personalities in history when there are so many trends and forces. And people can get very absolutist with it. And this finale is a great kung fu action version of just watching a tragedy of both trends of forces and some very individual personalities play out in a specific way that they only could with both running at the same time.
It's okay. Because I have to. My take on the whole individual personalities versus trends is the trends create these personalities. Mm-hmm. The trends create these personalities. Your Alexander the Greats of the world, your Genghis Khans of the world. You'll yes, perhaps they were singular as individuals, but they were created by the circumstances of their of their time, and someone was going to shoot Franz Ferdinand, right? Someone was going to do something like what Alexander did, or like what Genghis Khan did. Maybe not quite in the exact ways that they did them, right? But yeah, I'm going to stop now.
That's a good angle. That's a good point. So something that's kind of interesting. This isn't so much in the praise or critique bandwagon. I'm just looking at individual, I don't know, pieces of the pool here. What's that slang term for saving budget in part of the season for part of the other one?
Oh, what was it, like 40% or something like that?
Something like that. I was just kind of interested.
There's a girl and a guy joke.
I was kind of looking for little cues of that when I was in the sort of middle stretch of the season. And one thing that's interesting is, and I think they could have snuck it more, maybe they even did once or twice, but once or twice they do that sort of like single still extended for a beat longer than you might expect of establishing shots, or, you know, these sort of like stylized sketch looking transition sequences, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I would make fun of, but those fight sequences they reinvested in are, they make me smile.
Oh, my Sakuga heart at Doki's.
Sakuga, that's the thing.
Yeah, Mike. Oh, that was the word that you were talking about. Oh, yeah. Shit.
Also, not to...
Yes, my Sakura Kokoro Dokis for Arcane.
Not to encourage too much repetition, and I probably even get some version of this in season 2, but I'm gonna need my Austin Rock 3 with Arm Lady and V. I'm ready for a fucking tiebreaker.
I will not say anything about what happens with Arm Lady and V. I don't think that I should. I do not think that it is my place to.
A small thing in season 1 I would like to point out is just the drive-by condemnation of various prison systems.
Oh yeah. This show has a pretty firm grasp on just how things are in the real world, and it does its allegory pretty well.
It's a nice thing to be sane about, and you know what? I say, stick that in everything. Put it in Mr. Bean. Until people fucking get it.
Mr. Bean is rented out to work at KFC.
Yep. So since we're going to revisit this, I won't belabor everything for too long, but one thing I do have to say about being surprised by this show is that there's one little disappointment in my heart.
There's one in mine too. Not a disappointment, but there was one misstep.
Do you know what this being good
me
took from me? It
What
took
is that?
the innocent jokes that died in their fucking crib for nothing, Sam.
Oh no! I bet the fucking notes doc is full.
I
of
had some bangers. I was going to say that Jinx is a character the way that Drake likes kids.
My boy didn't get to quit.
I was going to call this a generational coup for Spencer's gifts. And then they had to go and tell a fucking story.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard sometimes when things don't suck.
Money out of my goddamn pocket. I had to sit here and think about like what happened and why and the things that they said. I had to use my fucking degree.
I had a similar experience. Not on the same level, mind you. But I had a similar experience this last weekend. Several weeks ago, I promised Morgan that I was going to go see the third Sonic the Hedgehog movie with them. And
we talked too much shit. The universe is denying us garbage, Seb.
I talked so much fucking shit that it ended up being like, I'm still not going to use the word good, but it ended up being a movie that I respected more than I did the first one that I had to fucking watch, which was this focus group tested, sanded down, extruded video game product of a movie. And then I watched this one and it's like, the people working on this seem to like working on this, clearly.
Weird.
Yeah. Uh, and so, and so here's Arcane, right? And the people working on this clearly are deeply fucking passionate about their work that they did on this and their desire to tell a good story. Um and that's it's really fucking hard to it's hard to dunk on that. So you gotta work hard.
It's definitely a lesson in how every good and bad thing is possible. Like, we are in the year of soccer, anime, and Arcane.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, we are in the year of soccer anime too.
And I know we promised you
there's-
people some soccer anime, but I really wanted to do this Arcane thing first because
I don't know what the fuck there is to say about soccer anime. Like, I'll watch it. I feel like I'm just gonna be like,
yep, there it is.
I was like, yeah, here it is, and it sucks. It sucks. It sucks real fucking bad. Those are just images. It's like, those are just images that they held a camera up to. Just move the camera around a little bit and then threw a little fucking soccer ball on it over PowerPoint.
It's like, oh man, there's
what else is there to
there's
say?
the market at work again, perfecting society as promised.
So, I do have one dunk in me. I do have one tiny little dunk in me, which is the scene late, I think, in season 1, where, okay, so this show's opening sequence, or the opening sequence, not like the opening couple of scenes, but the theme song, right, has become pretty famous, and the song "Enemy" by Imagine Dragons has become inextricably linked to this show, right? You cannot play that song anymore without it evoking this show.
Yeah, it's pretty caked in.
They are linked forever. A choice is made late in season 1, or during a sequence where there's a whole lot of stuff going on. Kind of, in retrospect, reminds me of that one sequence from West Side Story where, like, you've got like the Tonight reprise, and like everyone's talking about a different version of Tonight. So like that, I think the sequence kind of reminded me of that, and also the theme song was playing over it, and also it was fucking diegetic because somewhere in Zon there's a Zon version of Zon version of Imagine Dragons, and it's a fucking Imagine Dragons music video.
Yeah.
The whole fucking sequence is a fucking Imagine Dragons music video because there they are playing their goddamn set.
That's pretty.
Just on. And I remember laughing my dick off at that sequence.
Yeah, it was very strange in the middle of this fantasy action show to see Maroon 5 for people that don't fuck as in-universe characters. It's not what I would have anticipated.
The band that is to Air Force recruitment ads what Black Keys has become to Ford pickup truck commercials.
Oh, fucking phenomenal. Fucking great. All right, so I honestly do have more for the show, but I think I'll save it for the next round.
I think the next round sounds great.
Oh, yeah, I recommend Arcane. Cool.
Recommend Arcane. And
sometimes like a higher, slower jump is just better. It's it's contextual, but like I really think that Luigi's jump over certain problems in our society was welcome. I think the joke was supposed to say something oblique there instead of I support Luigi Mangione shooting a healthcare executive in the face. Okay. This has been Weeaboo Hell.
It's Weeaboo Hell. Consider this me putting all of you on notice. This Edge holding up his fucking briefcase. Wrestler has given at some point, just like, consider this me putting all of you on notice. This Edge holding up his fucking briefcase.